think I have unmuted myself tons too. So welcome everybody. I'm going to go ahead and share some slides here, but I will also still be able to see your wonderful faces. So please feel free to, nod, raise a hand, ask any questions. I am going to build some time in for some questions at the end. But if you guys have any pressing questions and want to do the raise hand feature or just come off of mute and talk over me, I'm fine with that. In fact, I love it. It's great. So definitely feel free. This does not need to be a one-sided presentation. I would love for it to be a conversation. So, all right. So for those who may not know me or our organization, my name is Helen Hockey. I am the director for the Pennsylvania Coalition for Oral Health. So we focus on improving dental access for lots of different communities in Pennsylvania. And I'm joined by Amy and Leah here today as well from PCOH, who do a lot of our programming and education and communications work. So really excited to have all three of us here to answer questions and talk with you guys a little bit about this Free Resource Friday. So we're here today to talk a little bit about some of the information that we offer as an organization. And just a quick minute of background on myself. I did work for many years as a dental hygienist in Pennsylvania and was the dental hygiene liaison for Head Start for about 5 years. And so I've worked with a lot of Head Start programs. I've been on site in a lot of the facilities. We've done educational programs. So I just want to say that I am a really, 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 really big fan of everything that you guys do because you are rock stars and amazing, and the work that you do is just incredible. So Head Starts are just like my favorite thing in the entire world. So just have to say that, have to start there because, I fangirl a little bit about these things. So very quickly, just wanted to give one little slide of background on our organization. I mentioned that, we are a nonprofit that serves folks in Pennsylvania who are seeking dental care. And a lot of the work that our kind of priorities fall into are sort of the workforce space, the policy space, water fluoridation. I'm sure many of you have seen lots of headlines about fluoride. And then looking at Pennsylvania's most vulnerable populations and how we can increase access for those folks. So I think that Head Starts probably also fall into some of that, and I would consider most of the staff at your facilities as part of our oral health workforce because you guys are doing education, you're doing treatment referrals, you're worrying about nutrition, which if you didn't know this, nutrition is probably the #1 factor in helping to prevent dental disease. So what you're doing is actually part of helping oral health in our state. So again, thank you for that. So what we're going to highlight today, we wanted to spend a few minutes talking a little bit about some of the resources we've developed that anybody in Pennsylvania can use. So these are free for everyone. Hopefully everybody's using them because we kind of think they're pretty important. So first I wanted to start with our Finding Dental Care info. So has anyone here ever struggled to find a dental provider for the kids in your classrooms? And I know not everybody's on camera, but I figured I'd get a few head nods out of that. So we hear that a lot, and it can be really, really, really challenging. So the dentist lists that are provided are often quite outdated. The provider stops taking new patients, or they don't want to see kids with disabilities, or there's a 2-year waiting list. We have quite a whole slew of things that can go wrong when we're trying to find dental care. So we wanted to develop a web page that would sort of help with that. So what we did was we broke out all of the safety net dental resources that exist in Pennsylvania so that, under major headings, you guys can kind of figure out what you're looking for. So if a child has Medicaid, right, then there's a certain page you go to find a provider for that child. If they're uninsured, right, then we have options for uninsured folks. Because we know that a lot of people have these kinds of pages, but they're all in different spots, right? You got to go to the Medicaid page, go to the plan. Is it UPMC for you? Is it Geisinger? Find that page, go there. And we kind of wanted to at least have like a home base where everything we know about, you know about in one spot. And so that was the purpose of our Finding Dental Care page. And so what you'll see is on the left is what the web page looks like, and then on the right we have some printed versions as well, so that if you need to hand these out throughout multiple sites, or you want to have a downloadable copy that you share, because these can even be shared with families. So those two options are available right on the main page of our website. You'll see Finding Dental Care, so you can go right there for it. And I want to mention that, what this is not necessarily a current list of every dentist in the state. We don't just have like, okay, Berks County, let's find the 342 dentists, and like this one says it takes Medicaid, this one doesn't, because it changes too much, right? We cannot keep up with that. So the point of this page is really just to give you guys the starting place to build a list that you can keep updating as needed. And so the next page here, I just wanted to show you guys is how we sort of intended for this to be used, so that if you go to all those different options, right, go to the Medicaid provider list, go to the free clinic list, go to the FQHC list, and then you can build for your own area and your own program what's available. So my goal is that everyone can do this and then update it, right? So once a year, twice a year, you have someone who takes an hour and goes through your list and says, okay, who's still taking Medicaid, or who retired, and sort of keep that up to date in a way that helps. And specialists are included too, so you're able to search for specialists on certain parts of those pages too. So if you're looking specifically for an oral surgeon or a pediatric dentist, those options would be there as well. So that's sort of, and we're always open to suggestions, right? So if there are ways we can make that page better, we would love to do that for everyone. Now, the second major resource I just wanted to talk about today was our request materials page. So again, when you go to our website, which is just paoralhealth.org, there's also a little tab at the top for request materials. So we're often told by a lot of community members that they could use some printed or online versions of materials to share. So either you're going out in the community and you're doing an event, or parents are coming in and you want to share things directly with them, something to hand them, tangible, to like give back. And so one of our goals when we developed our program to do the free materials was that we wanted to make them high quality. We wanted to make them color, right? So we wanted them to grab attention. We wanted people to pay attention to them, and not just be black and white copies, on thin paper that get lost and stuffed in book bags and are gone forever. So we developed a lot of different brochures and magnets and posters and all kinds of things that anybody can use. So right now we've got almost 50 different printed resources available on the website. So we call it a clearinghouse, right? So it's basically a place where you can go request copies. If you need 50 copies of something for a classroom event, we ship it right to you free of charge, right? So you don't have to pay for it. We do always take donations because we are a nonprofit and we get a lot of this work grant funded, as you guys are pretty familiar with all that. But, it's one of those things where we also want to be able to share it with anyone who needs it. So those are kind of like the options that are available there. I also wanted to point out, though it's not necessarily a separate resource, we have another page at the top tabs on our website that just says resources. And that's a place where we house like big reports and data. And if you're like, hey, how many kids have cavities in Pennsylvania, or what's going on with our state oral health plan, that's a place where you could go find resources. So if you're someone who writes grants for your organization, that's a great place to go look for data, right? How many dentists are in my county? We have a dashboard that breaks down all the counties and how many dentists and how many accept Medicaid. So if you're looking for data for grant writing, that's a really cool resource. So not the focus of today's call, but I just wanted to share that because I think it is helpful for a lot of programs. So to just wrap up, I'm going to go through a couple of the resources that we offer on the request materials page. So, we have sort of focus areas, right? So we do kids, we do fluoride, we've got HPV, right, for the older kids. You know, we've got tobacco resources. You know, it's kind of like broken down into different subject areas. And specifically in that 0 to 5 population, you know, we've got little helpful tip magnets that are for, you know, new parents or expecting parents, that's sort of something to stick on the fridge to remind them. What your kids drink is a big one, because as you know, what kids are drinking is not so great. And so really trying to express to parents why it's so important that water be the beverage of choice. And so some of that information broken down. We have a guide to packing a healthy lunch. So, you know, thinking through things like, you know, what do we replace a, you know, sugary Pop-Tart with in the morning? Or what can we put in a lunchbox that isn't just, you know, goldfish crackers and fruit snacks? So, you know, trying to kind of think through the ideas of getting parents to look at those things. And then we also have a number of materials specifically that are guided towards pregnancy, right? So if you're working in an early Head Start program and, you know, and or your families are just in that stage of expecting, it's a really good way to sort of, hey, grab a handout, a trifold, a flyer, something to give parents something to look at and learn a little bit about dental care, so that they can kind of focus that way. So that's just, you know, 5 of the different options out of the 50 that we have on the website. So we just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of a teaser for that. And then the last major resource I wanted to share is, as probably some of you know, February is National Children's Dental Health Month. And so the American Dental Association does offer free materials during February. So for that, and they have a theme every year. So there's coloring pages and toothbrush charts and just different posters and things you can request, and they will send those to you free of charge. So just wanted to kind of share that, and we'll share the slides out after, and you guys can click on links and everything else. But just a different way to sort of highlight the importance. And if you're doing any programs, hopefully everybody has at least one program this month focused on National Children's Dental Health Month, because I know that's a big deal. And then just the last 2 slides before we get to questions. If you're super passionate about oral health in Pennsylvania and you want to kind of keep up with what we're doing, we do have a weekly newsletter that we put out that has information. We share data from the state. We share new reports and new resources, as well as kind of some of the work that we're doing. And we have an online calendar for different meetings and things. There's a lot of information. We also have a learning portal. So as you guys know, a lot of organizations have learning portals where you can go online and take classes. So we do have some learning classes on our website, free of charge again, that are available to anyone who wants to just learn more about dental care. Specifically, even some focus on that 0 to 5 population, right? So we have a community health worker course, we have an age 1 dentistry course. So just some different things that might be helpful, even if you're onboarding, you know, and then you're onboarding some new staff and you want to kind of catch them up on what the current trends in oral health are for kids. That's a pretty easy way to do it, and get them up to speed. So those are some of the options available there. And so with that, we will turn it over for questions so that we can see if anybody has anything to ask about there. And I know I'm seeing lots of links in the chat there. Does anybody, while I kind of glance through here, does anybody have any kind of questions to ask outright, or any comments on anything?
I'm checking website right now. Great resources. I have my family meeting on the 26th of February, and our presenter is a health and nutrition specialist. So I'm printing out some good resources of snacks, drinks for kids. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. The nutrition piece is so important. I cannot say that enough. Just the things, and you guys have the best meals, right? Like your lunch, your food is so well planned. And you know, all the whole grains and the the water, all of the things that you guys do is so important. I just think it's wonderful. And I know some of you are partnered with the schools. I see the comments in the chat about, the school district supplying. I will say that I think Head Starts, when they do their own meals, they do a much better job than the school districts, because the school districts don't seem to have the same level of good nutrition, I swear. So, it's great when you're thinking about snacks and things like that. So, yeah, and that's a very good idea about sending the materials home. Are you guys doing like book bag programs and things for the families where they're taking food home on the weekends?
I saw some head nods and I saw some head no's.
Yeah, and we didn't put a lot on there, but we also, again, on the website itself, we have a number of items that deal with like sugar sweetened beverages and acid. So obviously, I'd love to think that our 0 to 5 population are not drinking carbonated beverages and all these acidic things, but we kind of know that they are. And so that's another thing. There's a ton of new resources we've developed over the last 2 years that focus on how much acid is in your drink and how that can hurt your teeth, as well as the sugar amounts in some common beverages. And it's not just the sodas, it's Gatorade, right? I mean, Gatorade is pure sugar. Well, sugar and salt, for whatever that's worth. And so some of those are really cool options, especially for parent nights. I know myself, when I've been in Head Starts and I've been talking, I love to go to parent nights and to be able to sit down and talk to the families, because so many of them, even if they're not giving their child a can of Celsius or Alani, they're drinking it and the kids are taking sips, right? Like that's happening the whole time. And so want to make sure that, we kind of try to do a little education with the parents at the same time. Other questions, concerns?
I'm wondering, with what you were just talking to, if a program wanted somebody to come in, is that an option for you to be at one of those meetings? Or not you personally, but your team?
Sometimes. We do work with a number, because we're, statewide and we only have a staff of 5. So that's a lot of state to cover. But we do work with places like dental hygiene programs, right? So the students who have to go and do different educational programs in classrooms. Oftentimes we can match programs up with somebody in that area who's willing to do it. And or an existing dentist or hygienist, right, that might just want to use our materials, but will come in and talk with your program. So that's something, it's not something we do all the time, but it is definitely something we've done and can do for most, right, as long as we have someone in that area. Any other questions? Any access questions in terms of just finding dental providers? I know that I kind of did that in the beginning, but is anybody struggling more than usual in that space to get your exams done, your screenings done? Yeah.
I'd also like to highlight, we meet monthly as a community of practice for health and nutrition, and dental comes up a lot. So I'm actually going to be highlighting this recording, but if anybody's interested in that as well, I can send it out when I send out the recording. But we'll meet next Wednesday. So that's a good time that we come together and have kind of those discussions of what are the hardships right now, how are we being inventive, and how we're supporting those issues. So if anybody's interested, you're more than welcome to attend that as well. And I see some people in here who do attend that. So, hey.
Yeah, that's great. It's definitely, I would say it's kind of a regional thing right now. It's really kind of been going up and down, the dental access. And just from a data perspective, we know that we're losing a lot of dentists in the state. So we're expecting probably for the next decade to see sort of a decline in the number of dentists before the number starts to go back up. So just because of the trends over the last 40 years, that's sort of where we're at, which seems crazy to have to analyze. But so what we typically will say is, like, if it's bad right now, it's probably going to get worse. So anything we can do, and especially with you guys working in that 0 to 5 population, you have so much potential to be able to stop so much dental disease, like, so early on, that will then sort of help that burden on the dentists later on as we start to lose more and more and we don't have providers. What we really need is kids not to get cavities so that they don't need the dentist as much. That's a really big deal. And so, you know, again, what you guys are doing with your educational programming, your toothbrushing, you know, and if anybody ever has trouble with toothbrushing in the classroom, hopefully you're doing table toothbrushing, not lining up at a sink. I'm happy to talk offline about that, you know, how to make that more efficient for your program as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Helen. I appreciate all of the information, all of the resources. I know I learned a lot of different things today that we are going to definitely be taking back to other meetings as well. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate everybody being here as well.
All right. Thanks for the invite.